When crime meets retirement age. Crime is usually associated with youth, adrenaline, and reckless impulses. But as this file will show, age does not guarantee wisdom. And sometimes the most unbelievable crimes come from the people we least expect. Across towns, cities, and entire countries, police departments have documented cases where grandpas and grandmas didn't just break the law, they shattered logic on the way down. Some weren't trying to cause trouble. Some got confused. Some got bold. Some got bored. And some simply believed that the rules of crime, like running, hiding, or planning, did not apply to people their age. These weren't masterminds. They were retirees with confidence, time, and absolutely no awareness of modern surveillance, digital tracking, or basic cause and effect. Many walked straight into their own arrests. Others talked themselves into handcuffs. A surprising number returned to the crime scene voluntarily, sometimes to ask police for directions, sometimes to ask for their lost belongings. What makes these cases so strangely endearing is that the intentions were rarely malicious. The crimes were clumsy. The execution was chaotic. The outcomes were inevitable. And in every single case, the universe responded with the same message. You're never too old to make a terrible decision. Welcome to the Absurdist Files, File 015, 45 dumbest grandpa and grandma criminals caught in the stupidest ways. A tour through senior citizens who went up against the law and lost to their own logic. Crimes of confusion. 1. Grandma who stole a store mobility scooter because she thought it was public transportation. A 76-year-old woman in Florida rode a grocery store mobility scooter out of the building and drove it 3 miles down a main highway. When stopped, she told police she believed the scooters were a community service like the city bikes. She thought returning it sometime this week was acceptable. The store pressed charges only after she tried to plug the scooter into an outlet at a gas station and asked the attendant for the charging fee. 2. Grandpa who tried to pay for gas with a Monopoly money bill. A 72-year-old man handed the cashier a bright pink $500 Monopoly bill, insisting it was old U.S. currency from back when money was colorful. When the cashier refused, he accused the station of inflation fraud and called 911. Officers arrived to explain the bill was a board game piece. He was arrested after arguing that if the government can print fake money, so can I. His wallet contained 3 more Monopoly bills. 3. Grandma who accidentally shoplifted by putting items in her walker basket and forgetting. A sweet 80-year-old woman was detained after security saw her leaving a store with $98 of items sitting openly in her walker basket. She told police she simply forgot during a very stressful day of comparing cereal prices. The store planned to release her until she returned the next day angry, demanding they pay her for emotional inconvenience. She attempted to file a complaint in the loss prevention office. 4. Grandpa who walked into a bank to withdraw money from the wrong bank entirely. A confused 78-year-old man walked into a bank, handed the teller a note saying, "Give me $3,000, no tricks." The staff hit the alarm. When police arrived, he said he thought this was his bank branch and he was just being firm because the lines are always slow. It turned out his actual bank was across the street. Police called it a non-criminal mental mistake. The bank still banned him for life. 5. Grandma who stole a package, then returned it because she didn't like the contents. After stealing a neighbor's Amazon delivery, a 73-year-old woman opened it, found children's socks, and became irritated. The next day, she placed the package back on the porch with a note. "This is useless. Order something better." Doorbell camera footage led to her arrest. She told police, "I didn't steal it, I previewed it." 6. Grandpa who drove through a toll gate without paying, then mailed the toll authority a check for 37 cents. An elderly man blew through an electronic toll lane, triggering a citation. He became convinced the ticket was a scam, did his own math, and mailed a handwritten check for 37 cents with the memo, "This is all you deserve." The toll authority tracked him down easily. When arrested, he said, "I mailed proof I'm innocent." His check bounced. 7. Grandma who called 911 because her drug dealer overcharged her. An 82-year-old woman called emergency services to complain that her dealer sold her weak product at a senior citizen price. Police arrived, found drugs in her purse, and arrested her. She insisted she was just demanding fair customer service. Officers said it was one of the most straightforward arrests of their careers. 8. Grandpa who tried to outrun police on a ride-on lawnmower. When deputies attempted to stop a 74-year-old for an outstanding warrant, he fled at 6 miles per hour on his lawnmower. The chase lasted 8 minutes until he drove into a ditch. He told officers, "I would have escaped if this ditch wasn't here." Police described the pursuit as slow but enthusiastic. 9. Grandma who shoplifted a purse while holding her own purse. A 79-year-old woman took a purse from a store display, placed it on her shoulder, and walked out, while still holding her real purse. When confronted, she insisted the store purse was hers because it matched her mood. Security footage showed she tried on 6 purses before picking the one that felt right spiritually. 10. Grandpa who broke into a house to use the bathroom. A 75-year-old man was caught climbing through a window because he urgently needed a restroom and didn't see "Do Not Enter" signs as legally binding. The homeowners found him politely washing his hands. He told police, "I treated the house nicely. That should count." It did not. Accidental chaos. 11. Grandma who started a wildfire trying to burn a spider. A 68-year-old woman in California saw a spider on her porch and attempted to kill it using a lighter and a can of hairspray. The resulting fire spread to nearby brush, ignited a hillside, and triggered a multi-hour response from firefighters. She waited calmly on her porch, holding the empty hairspray can, telling officers, "I didn't think it would catch everything on fire." Damages exceeded $30,000. 12. Grandpa who drove through a store window because his flip-flop got too comfortable. A 73-year-old man accidentally hit the gas pedal instead of the brake while parking outside a convenience store. His explanation? "My sandal was too relaxed." The car went through the glass entrance, knocking over displays. No one was injured. Police said the man seemed more upset about losing his slushie than crashing into a building. 13. Grandma who called 911 because her cat looked suspicious. A 79-year-old woman called emergency services to report that her own cat was plotting something illegal. Officers arrived expecting a welfare check, but instead found her lecturing the cat about stealing green beans. They issued her a warning for misusing 911. She told them, "If he does something, you'll wish you listened." 14. Grandpa who accidentally started a police chase while trying to wave at officers. A 75-year-old man attempted to wave to officers directing traffic, but they interpreted his hand motion as ignoring their commands and signaling a turn. When they moved to stop him, he panicked, believing he had misunderstood the rules of the road, and drove off at 12 miles per hour. The chase lasted 8 blocks. He apologized profusely, saying, "I thought you wanted me to hurry." 15. Grandma who mistook a prison for a post office and walked inside with packages. An elderly woman in Oregon accidentally entered a correctional facility lobby while searching for a post office. When asked to remove metallic items, she said, "Do you normally screen mail like this?" Guards discovered one package contained homemade wine. She was briefly detained for bringing alcohol onto state property. She insisted Google Maps betrayed her. 16. Grandpa who tried to put out a grease fire using soda, creating an explosion. A 70-year-old man tossed a can of cola onto a stovetop grease fire, hoping the liquid would smother it. The carbonation reacted violently, sending burning oil across the kitchen. Firefighters extinguished the blaze. He told them, "The internet said soda fixes everything." The internet had not mentioned grease fires. 17. Grandma who wandered into a police station while trespassing, accidentally. A confused 81-year-old woman walked through an open side door of a police station, thinking it was the entrance to a library. She picked up a random file from a desk and asked an officer if they had anything more exciting to read. The file happened to be evidence. Officers gently escorted her out and cited her for accidental interference. 18. Grandpa who tried to fix a power line and knocked out electricity for 400 homes. A retired electrician attempted to repair a neighborhood transformer he believed was wired wrong. He cut a cable with his personal tools, causing an outage across multiple blocks. Police found him sitting on a lawn chair next to the transformer box, drinking coffee, saying, "I was going to put it back after." He was arrested for tampering with public utilities. 19. Grandma who pepper sprayed a mall Santa by accident. A 73-year-old woman attempted to reach inside her purse for a tissue while standing in line to take photos with Santa. Instead, she grabbed her pepper spray and accidentally discharged it. The mall evacuated. Several elves needed treatment. When questioned, she said, "I thought it was hand sanitizer." Charges were dropped, but Santa filed an incident report. 20. Grandpa who tried to test drive a boat, still sitting on a trailer. A 78-year-old man climbed into a boat parked in a store lot and attempted to start it using imaginary keys. He kept yelling, "Why won't this thing go?" Employees called police after he rocked the boat so hard it fell sideways. When officers asked what he was doing, he said, "Test driving. Isn't that what this area is for?" It was the employee parking lot. Masterminds with zero mastery. 21. Grandpa who robbed a bank using a note he couldn't read himself. A 77-year-old man handed a teller a shaky, handwritten note demanding money. The teller couldn't read it, and neither could he. After several awkward minutes, he asked the teller to read it out loud, but she refused. Police arrived to find him still holding the unreadable note, insisting, "I practiced this whole morning." Officers described it as a robbery attempt obstructed entirely by penmanship. 22. Grandma who wore a ski mask, but kept her name tag on. A 72-year-old woman attempted to steal cosmetics from a pharmacy while wearing a full ski mask. Unfortunately, she forgot to remove her bright pink volunteer name tag from the senior center. Employees recognized her immediately. When confronted, she claimed the name tag was part of the disguise. Police disagreed. 23. Grandpa who tried to escape in his mobility scooter at 1 mile per hour. After attempting to shoplift batteries, a 79-year-old man fled the store in his mobility scooter. Security walked beside him for several minutes trying to convince him to stop. He refused, yelling, "You'll never catch me." A gentle push stopped the scooter. The pursuit covered a total of 42 meters. 24. Grandma who used her oxygen tank as a weapon during a heist. A 75-year-old woman tried to hold up a small-town bakery by waving her oxygen tank like a hammer. She demanded all the cash, then forgot why she needed it mid-sentence. She sat down, asked for a muffin, and was arrested peacefully. Officers said the tank posed minimal tactical threat. 25. Grandpa who tried to saw through a jail wall with a butter knife. A 78-year-old detainee believed he could escape his holding cell by slowly sawing through the bars using a cafeteria butter knife. After nearly 2 hours, he had removed approximately 1 paint chip. Guards found him sweating, exhausted, and extremely proud. He told them, "Another 3 hours and I'd be gone." 26. Grandma who left a perfect trail of Hershey's Kisses to her hideout. A 74-year-old woman shoplifted a bag of Hershey's Kisses, stuffed them in her purse, and ran. Unfortunately, the package tore open. Police found her by following a perfect trail of chocolate from the store to her apartment. When arrested, she said, "It's not my fault gravity tattled." 27. Grandpa who tried to hide in a dumpster, then asked to be helped out. During a failed theft, a 76-year-old man jumped into a dumpster to hide from police. Unable to climb out, he loudly called for help. Officers simply lifted the lid. He apologized and asked them to give a hand so he could climb out. They obliged, then arrested him immediately. 28. Grandma who attempted identity theft using her own name. A woman in her late 70s tried to open a credit card using a fake identity. The fake identity had her real name, real age, real address, and nearly her real social security number. Except she changed one digit. When denied, she angrily said, "I know that woman personally. She's trustworthy." Officers were impressed by her confidence. 29. Grandpa who disguised himself with a single piece of tape on his nose. A 73-year-old attempted to rob a gas station with a single strip of masking tape placed across the bridge of his nose to confuse facial recognition. Cameras recorded everything. The tape fell off halfway through. Police later said he would have been more disguised just by sneezing. 30. Grandma who tried an elaborate heist, then fell asleep mid-crime. A 78-year-old woman attempted a late-night break-in at a thrift store using tools she bought earlier that day. Halfway through prying open the back door, she sat down to rest her knees and fell asleep. Officers found her snoring loudly, surrounded by the tools she had just purchased. She claimed she was sleep shopping. Caught by their own logic. 31. Grandpa who returned to the crime scene to ask police if they'd seen his hat. A 76-year-old man robbed a convenience store, but dropped his hat during the getaway. 15 minutes later, he walked back into the store, now filled with officers, and politely asked, "Has anyone seen a brown cap lying around?" The cashier pointed to the security footage where he dropped it during the robbery. He sighed and said, "Well, may I have it back before we go?" He was arrested immediately. 32. Grandma who posted her heist outfit on Facebook. A 72-year-old woman stole jewelry from a boutique, then proudly posted a photo of herself wearing the stolen necklace with the caption, "Still got it." Friends recognized the store tag still attached. Police traced the post and found the items displayed neatly on her dresser. She told them, "I thought Facebook was private." 33. Grandpa who tried to escape on foot but stopped for his daily stretching routine. After shoplifting tools, a 78-year-old fled on foot. Security chased him until he suddenly stopped, placed his hands on a bench, and began stretching his hamstrings. When officers caught up, he said, "Look, if I don't stretch, my knee locks up." He was arrested mid-warm-up. 34. Grandma who tried to hide in a photo booth but kept triggering the flash. A 74-year-old woman ran from mall security after stealing scarves and ducked into a photo booth. Unfortunately, she sat on the activation button, repeatedly taking bright, loud photos. Security found a strip of pictures showing her panicking inside the booth. She told police, "Well, the lighting was terrible anyway." 35. Grandpa who called the police on himself without realizing it. A confused 80-year-old man dialed 911 to complain that a suspicious man keeps following me. Dispatch tracked his location to a store, where cameras showed he was looking at his own reflection in the glass freezer doors. When officers arrived, he said, "Well, he looked untrustworthy." They arrested him for shoplifting unrelated items. 36. Grandma who tried a disguise made of kitchen foil. A 73-year-old attempted to rob a deli while wearing aluminum foil wrapped around her head and sunglasses. She believed the foil would jam the cameras. It did not. What it did do was make her extremely identifiable. Police found her half a block away, overheating, sweating, and peeling the foil off because it was louder than expected. 37. Grandpa who hid in a porta potty, then knocked to ask when police would leave. After stealing lawn equipment, a 77-year-old hid inside a portable toilet at a construction site. Police lingered nearby, and after 20 uncomfortable minutes, he knocked from the inside and yelled, "Are you done yet?" Officers opened the door and found him crouched over his stolen items. He said, "I thought we could negotiate." 38. Grandma who left her grocery store rewards card at the crime scene. During a rushed purse snatching, a 70-year-old woman dropped her grocery store loyalty card on the sidewalk. The card had her full name, address, and preferred shopper ID. Police found her at home eating snacks purchased with the same account. She said, "I didn't think they tracked those." 39. Grandpa who ordered a getaway taxi to the crime scene. A 79-year-old man scheduled a taxi pickup before robbing a small pharmacy. After the robbery, he calmly walked outside expecting the taxi. Unfortunately, police arrived first, and the taxi driver was still idling with the receipt showing the trip was pre-booked under his name. He said, "I like to be punctual." 40. Grandma who tried to use a library card as fake ID. Trying to cash a stolen check, a 76-year-old presented a laminated library card as identification. The teller asked for a real ID. She responded, "This proves I'm responsible. I return books." Police were called after she refused to leave unless the manager appreciates my literacy. 41. Grandpa who tried hiding behind a curtain with his feet clearly visible. A 78-year-old tried to hide from officers by standing stiffly behind a living room curtain that only reached his ankles. His legs and slippers were fully exposed. When police told him, "We can see you," he replied, "No, you can't. I'm in stealth mode." 42. Grandma who snitched on herself while bragging to strangers. A 74-year-old woman at a bingo hall bragged loudly about getting free stuff from that fancy store. One listener was the store's assistant manager. Police arrived before the bingo jackpot. She insisted her bragging didn't count as evidence. It did. 43. Grandpa who tried to escape by hiding in a children's play tunnel. After shoplifting fishing gear, a 76-year-old man crawled into a mall play tunnel. He got stuck halfway when his jacket bunched. Children pointed him out instantly. Firefighters had to cut the tunnel open. He apologized for underestimating childhood architecture. 44. Grandma who returned stolen goods for a refund with the security tag still on. A 72-year-old woman attempted to return a stolen sweater for cash but kept the theft deterrent tag attached. When the clerk said they couldn't accept it, she replied, "Well, of course the tag is still on. I just bought it." Security footage disagreed. 45. Grandpa who walked into the police station to complain about his own wanted poster. A 78-year-old man walked into a sheriff's office holding a copy of his newly issued wanted bulletin, angrily complaining the photo makes me look old. Officers confirmed it was him, arrested him instantly, and updated the poster with a new picture. He said, "Well, that one's better." When senior logic meets law enforcement. Across these 45 cases, one truth becomes impossible to ignore. Age does not protect anyone from making spectacularly bad decisions. In fact, for many of these grandpas and grandmas, age only added new layers of confusion, confidence, and chaos. In the first 10 stories, the theme was pure misunderstanding. Grandparents stole scooters thinking they were public transit, used monopoly money as legal tender, and called 911 for complaints that had nothing to do with emergencies. Their crimes weren't intentional. They were byproducts of misreading the world around them. The next 10 showed how innocent actions spiraled into disasters. A spider turned into a wildfire. A flip-flop caused a car to launch through a store window. A wrong turn led straight into a prison lobby. Small choices became big problems simply because logic decided to take the day off. Then came the masterminds, seniors who believed they could outsmart security systems, police, or physics itself. Their disguises failed. Their plans collapsed instantly. And their escapes were slower than most people's walking speed. They weren't dangerous. They were determined and deeply misinformed. Finally, the peak, seniors caught by their own logic, returning to the crime scene, posting the evidence online, hiding behind curtains that didn't cover their legs, complaining to police about their own wanted posters. What makes these stories oddly charming is that none of these criminals felt threatening. Their crimes were clumsy, accidental, or built on bizarre confidence. And every arrest felt more like correcting a misunderstanding than stopping a mastermind. These cases aren't about crime. They're about humanity at its most unfiltered, unpredictable, and unintentionally hilarious. When crime meets memory loss, confidence, and chaos. If there is one lesson hidden inside these 45 stories, it's that crime doesn't require youth, agility, or a sharp mind. Sometimes all it takes is confidence confusion, and a complete misunderstanding of how the modern world works. These grandpas and grandmas weren't hardened criminals. They weren't masterminds. They weren't even particularly sneaky. Instead, they were people who drifted into crime the same way they drifted into everything else, slowly, stubbornly, and with absolute sincerity. Many of them didn't even realize they were committing crimes. They wandered into restricted buildings, called 911 for non-emergencies, returned stolen packages with review notes, and accidentally incriminated themselves while trying to be helpful. Their mistakes weren't malicious. They were the natural result of navigating a world that had become faster, stranger, and far more complicated than the one they grew up in. Others tried to be clever. They attempted disguises using tape, foil, sunglasses, or nothing at all. They used mobility scooters as getaway vehicles, chose hideouts that looked straight out of a children's picture book, and left trails of evidence behind like fairy tale breadcrumbs. Their plans were imaginative, their execution was catastrophic, and their arrests were inevitable. But the most memorable cases, the ones that truly define this file, are the seniors who caught themselves. The ones who returned to crime scenes asking about lost hats, proudly posted stolen goods on Facebook, or walked into police stations to complain about their own wanted posters. These criminals weren't stopped by detectives, patrol units, or surveillance systems. They were stopped by their own logic collapsing in real time. And maybe that's what makes these stories so uniquely human. Because crime, when stripped of danger and malice, becomes something else entirely. A window into how unpredictable people can be when emotions, assumptions, and habits take over. These seniors weren't villains. They were reminders that age doesn't eliminate mistakes. It just changes the shape of them. In the end, what stands out isn't the crimes themselves, but the sincerity behind them. The woman who believed loyalty cards were anonymous. The man who thought a lawnmower could outrun police. The grandmother who treated shoplifting as previewing. The grandfather who blamed his sandal for driving through a storefront. Each story is a blend of innocence, stubbornness, and miscalculation, a combination that produces chaos no algorithm could predict. This has been the Absurdist Files, 45 dumbest grandpa and grandma criminals caught in the stupidest ways. A reminder that crime may evolve, but human logic doesn't always keep up.